Okay, this is NVHA 010018. It is the Anderson Public Library, December the 12th, 2001. Art Franks, United States Navy, World War II. Well, Art, we're going to start out with something nice and simple here.
Great.
What's your full name?
Arthur L. Franks.
Arthur L. Franks. And what was your date of birth?
5/21/23.
Okay. And what was your rank of discharge?
I was a signalman.
Signalman?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Signalman Franks,
Yeah.
where were you born?
Auburn, Indiana, up north of Fort Wayne.
Okay. Got up there and
DeKalb County.
saw the cars up there.
Yeah, really.
You,
I used to have a 1935 Auburn.
did you really?
I wish I had it
Oh,
now.
I bet you did.
Pretty old car. It had big side mounts on the fenders, you know, big wing nuts to hold them on.
Do you remember much about the Auburn factory?
No. You mean the manufacturing?
Right.
No. See, there was two of them at Auburn and another city somewhere near Indiana.
Okay.
And they all moved down there to another city.
Okay. So, what's your mom's name?
My mother's name was Cleva, C-L-E-V-A.
Okay.
Their maiden name was Fritz, F-R-I-T-Z.
Oh, okay.
And of course, my last name is Frank, so I'm strictly German.
Okay.
I like my beer and I like my Braunschweiger. And
Well, tell me about your mom. What was she like?
you know what? I don't know, really. See, I was only 4 years old when she passed away. I can just barely remember her, you know. So, but my dad, of course, he raised 4 kids, and of course, we had a farm. I was born and reared on a farm, and it's only 40 acres, but we farmed other ground besides that. So we got along pretty good during the Depression. Never had any money, but always had plenty to eat, you know.
Well, that's good. A lot of people didn't have either one.
Right.
All right. So, what was your dad's name?
Clyde, C-L-Y-D-E.
Okay. What was he like?
Oh, gee, hard-working man. And he was taller than I am and a little heavier. And my brother really took at him. My brother's 6'4" and weighed about 240 pounds when he died. He didn't look like it, you know, he was big. My dad was a hard worker, and of course, and he instilled that in us boys. And I know I've been a good worker, you know. Yep.
I can see that. Tell me about you say you had brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I had one brother and 2 sisters.
Okay. What were their names?
Well, my brother's name was Harold, and my oldest sister was Vivian, and the youngest sister was Ruby. They've all passed away.
What came to them in life?
Well, my brother was a welder for years and years and years. He worked for a Fruhoff trailer company in Fort Wayne, and then he had a little pickup truck with a welder on it, and he had a little shop. He ground plowshares for people and the farmers in the spring of the year, and he'd go out in the middle of a field a lot of times to do some welding on a machine. So, you know, he stayed busy. And of course, my sisters were housewives, more or less. But now my youngest sister did work in the factory up in Ypsilanti, Michigan, is where she lived.
Okay.
And then the oldest sister lived just a few miles from her up there.
What was it like growing up on the farm?
Great. I look back now, it was great, you know. But I was a little disappointed a lot of times when we couldn't have a lot of Christmas gifts, you know. But I'd get an apple and a sack of candy at school, and sometimes that was it, you know. But my dad was a good provider, you know, for food and clothing and stuff like that. And of course, my gosh, we had a big hog farm, you know.
Yeah.
That was our main money, really. But yeah, you know, I learned a lot on the farm. You bet I did.
What was your job on the farm?
Anything that he wanted me to do, you know. When I was really young, we always had kept a pretty nice looking lawn, you know. Had them old push mowers. But before I pushed the mower, he'd take a string, stake that out, and he'd be in the fields working, you know. And that'd be my job to pick all the weeds out of that square. You know, I'd get done and he'd move it for the next time, you know, and it kept busy that way, see? Kept me out of trouble, I guess. But oh my gosh, we had a lot of fun. Then we had good sized woods, all maple trees. And we'd tap those things every spring and make maple syrup. That was another big income.
Tell me about making maple syrup.
Okay.
Give me the details.
All right, well, of course, they got electric drill now, you know, these big drills, they just drill a hole. We had the bracing bit, you know, drill a hole, and they had what they call a spile. You drive it in that hole, you'd hang a gallon bucket usually, on that spile. And I've seen it when we first drill the hole and put that in, it'd be a steady stream of water coming in that bucket, and it would slow down, drip, 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 drip. And of course, we had a team of horses and a mud boat. And had 2 big barrels on that mud boat. We'd go around there and empty the sap in those barrels, take it back. We had 3 big sap pans. My daddy had built a fireplace. The only thing he used for mortar was mud, you know, and lay those brick. And up here would be a pan, maybe the whole what? I'd say 50, 60, 70 gallons, something like that, in a big pan. And he had a valve and a pipe running over here to the first sap pan that was on the fire. It'd be dripping in that sap pan. You keep it just almost the same level. Of course, it evaporates, you know,
right.
Just boiling. Then behind that would be another pan. And you dipped from here and put it in that pan. And at the right time, you pulled the fire. You know, you didn't want to burn it. Pull the fire. And then he had a thing made up where you could drag this pan off, let it cool. And then when we get all done, then you start it again, you know. So, but in order to sell maple syrup, it has to weigh so much a gallon, right?
Okay.
That anything less than that would not be pure maple syrup. So that was fun.
I know that.
So, gee, we used to get meat, cook it in that fire,
Yeah.
you know, put eggs in the sap when it was boiling. Eat boiled eggs. Oh my.
Was it good?
Yes, very good. You bet.
When you buy it from the store today,
I don't know.
as good? Or?
I don't know if it's pure or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that sure tasted good at home. And we also made sorghum. You ever hear of sorghum
Yeah.
molasses? And of course, not having a mother, when we made cookies, always sugar cookies, be a 5-gallon crock full of cookies when we got done. He cut apples up, put them in there, you know, and put cheesecloth over the top. And those cookies were always nice and moist when you ate them. Then.
Wow, sounds great.
Oh my.
Sounds like your dad was pretty particular about.
He was.
Do you think that was maybe because of the German heritage? Because I've
Yes,
noticed,
I know.
I've been to Milwaukee,
Yeah.
and Milwaukee, all the houses are just beautiful.
Yes,
People really
yes,
keep things
yes.
up.
Yeah, I know that was it. You know, of course, he's instilled that in me. You see by the look in my home. You know,
Right.
same way.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was quite a guy.
Was your dad a pretty good cook?
Yes, excellent, excellent. And of course, he sugar cured the meat,
Right.
pork, and I wish I'd have kept the recipe on how he done the sausage. You know, it's just so good. You know, but I don't have it. I don't know that I'll ever come up with it. It was good.
You ever get in on the hog butchering?
Oh, a lot of it. Of course, he didn't only butcher our hogs; he butchered for the neighbors too.
Right.
And they always offered him. They'd always ask how much they owed. You know, how much I owe you. Oh, he said, just give me a mess of meat. So that was his pay. And he was good in about anything like that. I won't get into detail what he done to the hogs, but or ringing hogs, you know, put rings in their nose. That was it. You know, he'd do that for the neighbors and ourselves, and butcher a beef, hogs, or anything like that. And he was just always working at something, you know. And strange things. He had a pocket knife he carried all of his life. I got it now. He kept that thing razor sharp. Don't borrow his knife. He wasn't loaning it to anyone.
Made good use of it.
What?
He made good use of it.
Yes,
didn't
yes. Absolutely. Yeah, quite a guy.
he? So,
Yeah.
did he ever remarry?
Yes, but it didn't work out. You know, of course, we were poor, you know, and I don't know whether this lady, she only stayed with him a couple months, you know. But, gee, and when I looked up my stepbrother the other day on the computer, and I got to stop by and see him. We haven't seen each other since about 6 or 7 years of age. He lives in Fort Wayne, so I gotta find him.
What's his name?
Dale Tarr, T-A-R-R.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. So, sound like you get pretty busy
Yes.
on the farm.
Yes.
What are some of the other things you did for fun?
For fun on the farm?
Yeah. Did you have time for that, or was it just all
Yeah,
work?
sure we did. Well, had an old tire. We'd running up and down the road and had a two-wheel cart,
Yeah.
you know, and I even, when I was a little older, we had a buggy. And we had a gasoline engine. We had the flywheels on it over here, you know. I kept thinking, boy, I wonder how we could put that on that buggy and make it go.
Yeah.
So I really was getting ready to do it. And I even made a platform on that buggy to set that gasoline in. I had a couple of neighbor kids help me put it up there. My dad seen what I was doing. What are you doing? I said, I want to see if I can make this buggy go. He said, you take that gasoline engine off. He said, you'll get killed that way. So I never did do it.
Yeah. Budding Henry Ford there, I guess.
Yeah, but you know what? I've always been good with tools. When my two granddaughters were about 6 or 7 years of age, I guess, they had a wagon. I bought them a wagon, coaster wagons,
Right.
a nice one. And I figured out a way to put a motor on the back of that. Geared it down real slow and painted it all up, you know, looked great, you know. And I even entered it in the Chesterfield parade one year.
Oh, did you?
And of course, only one of them could ride at a time.
Right.
So I made a trailer for it, you know. Had the nice sideboards for it, the end gate and all that. So, I went over there one day though, and they had it full of kids standing up. A lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I had a 3/8" axle for these wheels. The wheel was like that,
Yeah.
bent that axle.
Yeah.
You know? So I said, nah, so you can't do that. No. A lot of fun.
So where'd you go to school? Where'd you go to school?
Pyle School. It was a country school out east of Auburn, about 5 miles. And I got interested in having a reunion. Well, first I went the 8th grade. That's as far as they went, the 8th grade. I wanted to get all the 8th grade for one particular year, the year we graduated out of the 8th grade. We only had 5 left. So I opened it up to all the kids that ever went to Pyle School. Oh my, I didn't think there was that many. But we have it every year now, so got
That
something
sounds like
started.
Where'd you get the name Pyle? Was it a town nearby? Or?
No, it was the man's name. He owned the farm, and he donated so much land for the school. So they just tore it down. Well, it was a school until 1955, and it was laid empty for a long time. They finally tore it down and built a home. So,
How big a school was it? I mean, just
well,
multiple rooms, or?
no, one room. One
room.
big room had a big stove out in the back, you know. It's kind of a furnace-like stove. And, well, I remember when I first started school, we burned wood. And then, gosh, I guess times got pretty good. We got coal, you know, started burning coal. But I always had good teachers. And, of course, they were tough. They were tough. He had a bundle of switches sitting up on a shelf. He had a paddle about that long. And if he ever whacked you on the butt with it, then he put your name on the paddle. And my name was there.
More than once?
No, one time. But he hit hard enough it hurt. You know?
Only needed one, huh?
Yeah. And, yeah, I never told my dad about that till later on in the years, you know.
What do you think he would have said about that?
I'd have probably got another one. Yeah. My dad was pretty rough too.
Yeah.
But not, you know, he wasn't rough.
Yeah.
He trapped too. You know, like muskrats and mink and coon and all that stuff, you know. And a mink board about that wide and about that long. You stretch the height on that thing. Well, that's what he'd whack you with, that mink board, you know. That was his paddle. He ain't never had to use it very often, you know.
Well, didn't do the mink any good either, did it?
No.
Did you have a radio?
Yes, and later, yeah, no electricity. We didn't have electricity.
Okay.
We had a telephone,
Okay.
a wall telephone, you know.
All right, yeah.
And party line, I think it was about 20 people on the line. But we had a radio and we had a wind charger. You ever seen one?
No.
A generator and a blade on top of the house or a pole or something. You know, keep your battery charged.
Okay.
Wet cell battery, 6 volt. And of course, we could only use it good programming. Amos and Andy, Major Bowes, you know, and programs like that. But that was so interesting. Boy, everybody be real quiet, listen to the radio, you know. That was good entertainment. Then we had an organ, an old organ, and Daddy could play that. He also played the fiddle, and he played for square dances, you know, throughout town, and he was real good with it, you know, all by ear, you know. But he was a good one. Played the Jew's harp, French harp. He was pretty good. You know.
Did you pick up any instruments?
Yeah. I used to play the steel guitar, but I quit it, and I could kick myself ever since for quitting. You know.
When'd you quit?
Oh, gee, I don't know, 20 years ago, I suppose. Yeah. But I got pretty good at it, you know.
Did you ever get together as a family and maybe? My
brother and I used to sing, and we would sing a lot, and with this country music, you know. But gee, we had good harmony, you know. He played the guitar, and here's one for you. We both learned how to play the fiddle, but not to the extent my dad did. But there was quite a few songs we could play. But he got something wrong with his shoulder. He'd hurt his shoulder, and he couldn't run that bow, you know. I said, hey, I got an idea. I said, you do the finger and I'll do the bow. And he said, all right. You know, we practiced on that. You know, we got real good, you know. I put my hand up on his shoulders and I'd run that bow and he'd run the fingers on that. Oh, God, I'll tell you.
That's a story.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Hey, I'm also an auctioneer.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. When I retired, I got my ham radio license, and of course you can only do so much of that, you know. Yeah. You get tired of it. And I was standing at my patio door one day watching it snow. You know, my wife said, Art, you need something to do. I said, I know it. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I seen an ad in the paper. This teacher, he was a doctor of education. Yeah. And he was also an auctioneer, and he was a hole in the school. And he'd rented a big room in one of the hotels in Indianapolis. And so I called him on the phone. He said, sure. He said, are you serious? No, you want to be an auctioneer? I said, sure. He said, you know what? He said, you got a good voice. He said, I believe I can make you into a good auctioneer. I said, well, let's give it a try. So I went down there and I took my course. I went down there one day a week for about 12 weeks, I guess. That is the toughest test I ever took in my life.
Really?
Yeah. It's not only talking, you know, you got to talk. You got to know all about insurance, taxes, and of course it had to be bonded. And you had to know. You had to come pretty close to know the value of stuff. You know? And he had a bunch of stuff out there on the table, you know. And I got done. He said, "You know what?" He said, "You done all right." I said, "Well, all that stuff's familiar to me." And you got there, you know. And so I don't. All I do anymore is free ones for fraternal organizations, churches, and stuff like that. I really enjoy it. I wish I'd have done it 50 years ago, you know.
Something I didn't know about you.
And that's a good profession. Well, when I was taking that schooling, I couldn't believe it, but the instructor told us, said, you know what? He said, engineering is one of it's the third highest paying profession in the country. I said, really? He said, sure. So I believed it because one day I was home, and it was on Saturday, I think it was, and I was walking through by the television, and I heard this auctioneer, you know. I turned around and looked, this sucker had on a top hat, tails, you know. He was selling horses. Not just any run-of-the-mill horse. I heard him go, and he got $3 million for a horse.
Wow.
Well, 1/10 of 1% of that would be real good money, wouldn't it?
Yeah, sure would.
Yeah. Of course, this is another thing about auctioneering. On junk, the percentage goes up that you get. You know, if you got a box of junk here, well, it's 20%, maybe 25%. You know, but so you got an antique car, it comes down. You understand how that works? Sure. You know, and a lot of people think, well, it ought to be the other way. You know, no, because when you sell that car, you're making good money at 5% or 10%. You know?
So it kind of evens out the.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you give us a sample?
Can I give you a sample? Sure. And on in, how many dollars would it from real two, would it go 2, now 3, and a 3, 3, 3, every day and where 3 go up $2 bill.
And now I owe you.
What?
Now I owe
Yeah.
you. I have to charge you $2 for the taxi ride home.
Yeah.
Then I have another 2 questions. What's the L in your middle name stand for?
I won't tell you.
Okay.
Okay.
See? You
No,
don't have
no,
to
I'll
answer
tell
any
you.
question.
I'll tell you, Leotis, Leotis. I hate the name.
And do you want to tell us your stepmother's name?
Yeah, Fritz, German. In fact, my grandmother and grandfather on the Fritz side got married on the ship coming over here. So,
Okay.
but I tried to find them. They got this good thing. I don't know whether you ever checked into it or not. Ellis Island, ellisisland.com.
Yeah.
You know, and they got everything on there now. I found the ship, a picture of the ship they come over on,
Wow.
but I just couldn't find my grandmother. Here's what happened. I didn't know her maiden name. See,
Okay.
now, how am I going to find her? I know what happened. They got married, and they never changed the what do you call her, the list of passengers. It always stayed her maiden name. That's what happened. So I still haven't found her. So.
Okay.
I will.
At some point, you became aware of the world around you and world events. The adults may have been talking about it. You may have heard it on the radio or read it in the paper. What are some of the events that the news that you remember?
Well, oh gee. Of course, there was always stories of the Depression. We took a newspaper. There was a New York Sentinel. I mean, Fort Wayne. What was it?
Fort Wayne News Sentinel?
News Sentinel. Yeah, Fort Wayne News Sentinel. That's what it was. Sure. And gee, I don't know. It seemed like I don't know how to read real fast. You know, I'd read the paper. And my dad always read Tarzan. You remember Tarzan?
Yeah.
Yeah, gee, he just had to read that every day. That was his enjoyment, you know. But he only went to the 5th grade, and he could build a building, and I don't know how he could ever do that, you know. He used string to lay it out, stakes and stuff like that, you know. And when he get done, that thing was true to the world. How he done that, I don't know. But he used string to do it, you know.
Takes a skill.
And we had 2 tractors, and Moline, made by Minneapolis Moline. 2 big drive wheels in front, huge things. Had a 4-cylinder engine on it, but real slow, real powerful. We pulled about 3 or 4 gang plows with that.
I bet you wish you had that too.
Well, yeah, I seen a picture of one. My wife has eye problems, and we were sitting down there in the doctor's office one day in Indianapolis. Oh my God, there's a picture of that tractor.
Yeah.
So I tore the sheet out. My wife said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't care. I don't care who's seen me do this. I'm going to have that." I tore it out and brought it home. So I sent Minneapolis Moline an email. I haven't heard from them yet, and I'll give it to them if they want it, you know, because I don't imagine they have too many. You know. But
Probably not.
we had 2 of those old tractors besides horses. 'Cause we done a lot of farming besides, you know. We farmer, we'd rent the ground from them, you know, and we'll take a certain percentage of the crop. There was income there too.
What did you think of Hitler when he came to power? When you first started hearing about Hitler?
Hitler, I just thought he was terrible, as everyone did, you know. And but to me, that's far, far, far away, you know. Just like when I heard about Pearl Harbor. Oh my God, I don't know where Pearl Harbor is, you know. And I don't think anybody really did, you know. And it's just too far away. It never entered my mind, you know, until, well, I knew I was going to get drafted, and so I enlisted in the Navy, you know. And
Do you think it bothered your dad being a little closer to Germany than you were? I mean, do you think it bothered him to see Hitler doing what he was
yes,
doing?
it did, and it sure did, you know. My God, he said, we'll probably kill some of our relation, you know. Well, no doubt we did, you know.
Yeah.
But of course, he didn't know for sure.
That would be hard.
I traced my family back. I've got a family. I run my family tree, and I traced it clear back to Germany. But they came from Franconia, Germany, Franconia, Franconia. And but I was so lucky at getting this thing. I found out there was 54 people in the country that were ham radio operators with the last name of Franks. So I wrote them all a letter, sent it to them. Let's get together on the air, and we did for a long time. Certain day on a certain hour we talked. Then it faded out. And but there's one gentleman that we've become real good friends with him. Just absolutely the best friend I ever had. And he just built a new home in Florida, and he's been after me to come down and spend the winter with him. Well, I'll never do that. I might go down for a week, not all winter. But he and I have remained real close. We've spent time in each other's homes, stayed with him, and of course he's German too. We drink our beer, but not too much.
Were you glad that you went to the Pacific instead of going to
Absolutely.
Europe?
I'm glad I went in the Navy.
Yeah.
I always had a nice, clean bunk to sleep in, and of course, if you got sunk, you wouldn't have that. But that's a chance you take. And good food. Always had good food. And might be sometimes the same thing for a week. We missed our supply ship one time. I got sunk or something. I don't know, but they were supposed to store us up. And my God, we lived on stew for 2 weeks. Everything they could find and cook it. But we survived, and but to this day, I don't like stew very well, I tell you.
You say you went to the 8th grade at the Pyle School. Did you go on to high school?
2 years. That's all the high school. But you know what? I figure the time I spent in the Navy was a good education. I was a signalman. I tell you, I'm a good speller. I had to be, And of course, use Morse code, flashing light. You've seen these guys with a flashing light on. That was my job. The flag hoist, the semaphore, all that. And I still do. I can still do that. Of course, I had to know Morse code to get my ham radio license.
Okay.
I had to change it from sight to sound, which was no problem. And 13 words a minute, I passed that with flying colors.
So, when you were still in high school, did you have any idea what you wanted to be when you got out on your own?
No. I just wanted a good job. That's all I thought. I was getting a good job. And I worked in at a factory in Auburn, Reiki Metal Products. They made barrel fittings. And of course then they got a contract from the government, and they made a lot of stuff. But that's where I was at when I went in the Navy.
Wood barrels or cardboard?
No, steel.
Steel. Okay.
Yeah. The bung.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I knew what that was called.
Yeah, the bung. Huh? Well, I'll say it. They call it the bunghole factory. But it was a good job. I was a stock chaser there and got around a lot. Worked hard.
So where were you when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
Oh, I had a real nice 1937 Chevrolet at the time, and had a friend who lived 2 or 3 miles from me. And on Sunday, I was driving down the road, and I thought, well, what's this guy say on the radio? And, my God, the Japs bombed our fleet. I thought, oh hell, here we go. And I knew we'd retaliate, but I never thought it'd take that long. I thought Japan, whip them in a hurry. Boy, that was a long ways from the truth,
Turned out that way, did it?
But yeah, and of course it didn't scare me, I knew I'd have to go, So. And my friend and I went in together.
Okay.
But he got on a seagoing tug, and he hated that thing. He said, I was never so glad to get off of anything in all my life. Rough seas would be terrible.
What was his name?
Jim George.
Jim George?
From Auburn, yeah. And but of course I seen him after the war, but been a long time there. I didn't see. He's gone now. He died, and I still communicate with his oldest sister. Oh, you know what? The computer makes it a small world, also. You know that?
Yes, it does.
Oh my! I looked up people's names that I served in the military with. Sometimes I find them. We have a reunion every year for this LSD I was on. Every 2 years, I'm sorry. And I didn't go up the last one. It was in Las Vegas. I didn't want to go there. But the only one I've attended was in Corpus Christi, Texas. You ever been there?
Never been there.
Beautiful city. Oh my, it just money, a lot of money there, you know. And there was 7 of us there that put the ship in commission in 1942.
Wow.
Yeah,
So when did you enlist?
September of 42. Yeah,
How old were you?
19.
19-year-old kid going out to see the world.
And you know what? Well, you know where I went in, enlisted in Indianapolis. We both did. And they picked 30 of us right there and sent us to Bloomington, Indiana. Like, what are we going to do there, you know? And I never attended boot camp. You know, never had boot camp. They sent 30 of us down there at Indiana University. They had a bunch of waves coming in to like storekeepers and yeomen, you know. And we had to set up bunks and things like that. And I enjoyed it, you know.
Bet.
And then here come those 800 waves. That changed the world. I tell you, yeah, hard to get along with. And of course, then we were shore patrol then, you know. And of course, the women get a little bit too much to drink, just like the men would, you know, but hard to handle. Couldn't touch them. You know, don't touch them. But I'd take them in, you know, and get so drunk they couldn't hardly walk, you know. And oh, they'd cry, oh my.
They ever take a swing at you?
No, no. Of course, I carried a billy club.
Yeah.
You know, and that we'd finally get them in a van, take them back to base. Then, because they hated our guts after that, they would, you know, they say nasty remarks to us, you know. But that was at Bloomington. Then they needed 2 sailors in Minneapolis. Went up there. And I drove a vehicle for the shore patrol up there. There was a big base outside of Minneapolis, naval base, and that was interesting too. These guys were all these shore patrol there were ex-policemen, yeah. And I went inside with this one guy one time and become pretty good friends with him, and in a train station, and we'll just walk around. He go, oh, wait a minute. Look at that guy up there. So he's a sailor. I said, he's a sailor? He doesn't have a uniform on. He said, that's right. And look at his shoes. GI issue, Navy, you know. And I guess he went up there and got him, you know. He was, AWOL or something, you know.
Yeah. Their names?
Mm-hmm.
Your friends' names?
What was his name? In Minneapolis? I don't remember.
That's fine. We're just trying to do it for documentary
Yeah.
so that if someone else would mention it, we can tie stories together.
Yeah.
Well, he's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
He caught that.
They all were, you know. Of course, they were trained, you know, before they put the badge on, you know.
What do you think of Minneapolis? That's probably the biggest
Beautiful,
town you've been in.
beautiful city. Beautiful.
My brother used to live up there.
You know, I was up there, well, I don't know, not very long, but the tallest building there, I was trying to think of the name of the building, Fauché Building. Big, what I want to call it. Had a lot of offices in it, office building.
Skyscraper.
And then my wife belongs to the American Businesswomen's Association. And they had a convention in Minneapolis. Of course, they could take their husband. I said, yeah, you bet you're going to take me, you know. And I guess I looked up the old building, you know, where I stayed. And I didn't stay very long there, though. They had to have the room, so I lived on subsistence. I had a 2-room apartment, you know, and of course the government paid for it, you know. Yeah. And I got so much money a month to eat on, so that worked out pretty good. But I enjoyed the city. Beautiful. Oh my, just so pretty. And of course the people that live there, they're all like from Norway, right, and all those countries, you know. And most of them are blue-eyed blondes, so a lot of pretty girls. Hey, I met my wife on a Greyhound bus.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me that story.
All right. I was stationed in Bloomington, and I caught a bus to Indianapolis and had to change buses there and to get to Fort Wayne. And got on the bus, and I always tell everybody there was only one empty seat. That was right next to her. So that's where I sat. She said, "He's not telling the truth." Said there wasn't many people on the bus. Anyhow, got talking to her, and I asked her name, and she hesitated a little bit, She finally told me, Jade, Jane. Would you give me your last name? And she did. And so we got talking to her, and I said, we come to Anderson a lot on Liberty, nice city, and from Bloomington, and Bloomington didn't have anything. So I finally got her last name, and she finally gave me her phone number, and I wrote it down on a box or a book of matches. And when I got back to base, I don't know, threw the matches in the drawer, So I was cleaning out my locker one day. After that, I thought, what is this? I looked, oh, that's that pretty little girl I met on the bus. Filed that away. I don't know, several weeks went on, and I called her. I said, we're coming to Anderson. I said, can I have a date with you? She said, I don't think so. I said, oh, really? She turned me down, So I got mulled out over a while. I thought, well, I'm going to try again sometime. Oh, maybe it was a month or 6 weeks later. I called her, and I said, we're coming back to Anderson on Liberty. I said, would you like to date me now? She said, I could, but she said, my parents say you should come to the house to get me. I said, well, I can do that easy, So she told me how to get to the house, and I walked to her house and met her parents, and told the rest is history. And we never got married though till after World War II.
Okay, so you waited till after.
Yep.
What was her maiden name?
Van Dalsen,
Dalsen.
Dutch.
Okay.
Vandalsen, Van Dalsen. Yeah. And she had an aunt that run part of the family history, and I'm still working on it. So I get into a lot of the Dutch countries, and I found her maiden name in a lot of countries. They tell me all about it, and they send me letters and stuff like that.
So where were you married?
Anderson, the First Baptist Church in Anderson.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was she doing at the time you met her?
She was. Anybody remember the American Cleaners out of 25th and?
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah. That's where she was. She was a silk presser when I met her, and she'd done that all during the war. Well, no, she didn't either. I'm sorry. She finally went to work at Allison's in Indianapolis. So, and that she stayed there till the war ended. So, yeah.
Sounds like she was in business afterwards. She was in American Businesswomen's.
Yeah. Well, she's not in a business per se. Anybody can join that has a job.
Okay.
I don't know why they call them American businesswomen, but that's what they do. There's a lot of people belong to, a lot of women belong to that. Their headquarters in Kansas City.
Okay.
And of course they buy scholarships for young ladies, nursing and stuff like that. Yeah. They have money raising deals, and I hold an auction for them once a year, and raise money. So I'm gonna have to quit that. I'm getting pretty old,
Is that one of those situations where she comes up to you and says, Art, now you can talk?
Yeah. She calls me.
All you want.
She called me motor mouth. Yeah.
So where'd you go from Minneapolis?
Oh, come back to Chicago, and a switchboard operator. I didn't keep that job very long. The Waves finally moved in and took the job. Then I went to the West Coast and caught the ship.
What'd you think of Chicago?
Oh, it was all right. But I tell you one nice thing during the war, you could ride a streetcar all over town, never cost you a dime. You could go and get a transfer. I got to see the city, I spent a whole afternoon doing that, maybe on Saturday,
Big city.
Yeah.
Even bigger now.
Oh my, yeah. But I've been all over that city.
So you see from there you went to the West Coast?
Yeah.
Did you, train?
Yes, troop train. I got rolled.
You got rolled.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Holy smokes.
You got stuffed my head down.
Need to make change. This is tape 2, NVHA 010018, Art Franks. Well, Art, before we took the break with the tape, you were telling us that you were going from Minneapolis to the West Coast and you got rolled. Tell me that story.
Yes. All right, I was on a troop train, and I think there must have been two guys, because one guy held my head down the pillow, and I was sleeping in my clothes. He got my wallet. I only had $3 or $4 in there, but and then he left the wallet lay and took the money. So,
Wow.
Of course, I never knew who done it. I never said it. I never turned it in. You know?
Yeah.
So,
So you got your first action before you got out there.
it really, yeah.
Didn't like that battle.
No.
Not at all. So where'd you go in California?
Right. What's the city next to Frisco?
Oakland?
Oakland. Yes.
Okay.
That's where the shipyard was.
Okay.
That's where they built the ship. Moore's Shipyard.
More ship.
Uh-huh. And
And you're talking about the LSD.
yeah, but there wasn't anything for us to do. We were in those at Treasure Island waiting on the ship. Well, I was a mess cook for a while, just a seaman, you know, and preparing food and stuff like that. But they rotated. A lot of guys coming in there all the time. Maybe I was a mess cook for about a month, and it took me off. I didn't have anything to do. You
How
know?
much of that was cooking? How much of that was mess?
All mess.
Okay.
Well, that's what they called it.
Right.
You know, that was their food, the mess.
Okay.
But,
So you were actually waiting for the ship to be built.
yeah, well, of course, it was pretty well along, you know. They just had some final touches to put on it. And then, of course, the shakedown cruise, oh, gee, that just lasted a couple of months, you know, out there, all kind of turns and everything to see if it would run right, you know. And it did. And then we took off. And on the first invasion we made, well, of course, we went to Pearl Harbor. And the first invasion we made was in the Marshall Islands.
Okay.
In a wheat top. And we were there, well, I don't know, 3 or 4 days maybe.
Do you have some kind of time frame for that for us?
Yeah, 1943,
Well,
1943,
you left
January
San
43.
Yeah, you left San Diego
January.
on my
wasn't
wife's birthday, only it was 1944.
it? Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't notice that before.
What I've been saying, 42. It was 40. Wait a minute, 43. When we got when I was sitting there waiting on the ship. Was that January?
Yes.
Yeah.
January 13th.
Okay. 43, 44. Yes. Okay.
So tell me, this was the Gunston Hall?
Yes.
The Gunston Hall was an LSD.
Yes.
So we're about ready to take an LSD trip, only this was a
Yeah, I
little nicer
tell you,
one than what they took in the
yeah.
60s.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about an LSD. Tell me about the Gunston Hall.
All right. What a very good ship. In fact, as you read, is one of the most active ships in the Navy at World War II and also the Korean War. But of course, I was a signalman on board, and I think we had a crew of 400 people, maybe something like that. It's good size, and of course, I loved my job. You know, I always look forward to going on watch. You know, and running the light. I was running the light. You know, in semaphore, flag hoist.
So you were signaling all the way through?
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, that of course in general quarters though, we had enough signalmen to run the bridge. So I was on a 20 millimeter. I was a gunner on a 20 millimeter
Okay.
during the air attacks and stuff. But I might as well get into this other thing about the kamikaze pilots. Gee, I've seen a lot of ships get hit with suicide planes, you know, and never got a scratch. They never hit us. I don't know why, but I've seen ships right off our bow get hit, you know. Then later on in the day here, they'd be dumping the bodies over the stern, you know. They wrapped the bodies in linen or some kind of cloth. That's all you see, is a big long piece of linen, the way it looked, was the body. And we buried one man aboard our ship. He was a fighter pilot. And he went down just right off of our ship. We sent a boat out and got him, brought him aboard. And gosh, he didn't live very long, it's a couple hours maybe. But you know what? I should have got his name. He had a wife and a couple kids in Ohio. You know, I should have got his name and went to visit. I regret that.
Tell me about, you saw the plane go down?
Yes.
Can you describe it?
Well, you know.
Did you see him actually get hit?
it was on fire. The plane was on fire. And he landed it good on the water. He come in like this, hit the water and bailed out, but he was, he was burned. Oh my God, he burned terrible, So we got him aboard. He was in terrible pain. Of course, they gave him all kinds of shots to kill the pain. But I wish I would have got his name. I'd looked his family up. Anyhow, I didn't. But yeah, the LSD. Back to that, and like I was telling some of the boys, that we hauled small craft like LCMs. They were landing craft, mechanical. They'd haul a tank maybe, and to hit the beach.
Tell me about an LCM. Can you describe an LCM?
Yeah, that was a good sized boat. It was a boat, not a ship. It was a boat.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, all right, you talk about boats. A boat is a vessel that you can put aboard a ship.
Okay.
So that's why they call them boats.
Okay.
And of course, then they would haul troops. I suppose maybe they get 200 or 300 people in one of those before they hit the beach, And I tell you, I went on the beach one time. They wanted a communication man, and to talk back to my ship. I never done it again. Oh my God, they're shooting at me, I didn't like to be shot at, And at that one time, it cured me of volunteering to go on the beach on an invasion. It was bad enough.
So which invasion was this?
I don't know now. 9 of them. I can't hardly remember which one.
Oh, you had quite a list here.
Yeah, 9 of them. And I tell you, I'm fortunate I'm here. I really am. And I never got a scratch, And I've seen people get hit, but never got a scratch. But, of course, as time goes on, my mind gets dim, It's hard to remember a lot of stuff anymore. So, but I enjoyed everything I'd done aboard ship, and I was glad I was on a ship instead of on the beach. I really was. If you ever go in the Navy, that's the place to go, is on a ship. I have a nephew now over in Afghanistan. He's in what's sea?
Mediterranean or?
No.
The GNC?
No. Well,
Indian Ocean?
Yeah, Indian Ocean. That's it. Yeah, he got it. And he's on a big aircraft carrier. And of course, we send emails back and forth to him. I think that's great. And of course, he wanted to know what I'd done aboard ship. He's some kind of an aviation machinist mate or something. And I told him, he said, well, they sent back, you the guy sent the flashing light. I said, yeah, what was your rate? Signalman first class. And he said, well, I said, I don't think they call them signalmen anymore. No, I said, they call them quartermasters, and they're not a signalman, a quartermaster.
yeah.
Of course, they got 2 things they do. They signal, and they also plot the courses and things like this, shoot the stars. But I never done that. All I done was signal. That's all I wanted to do. But I don't know. Of course, I like the destroyer better than I did the LSD.
Well, that was Korea, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into that eventually.
Yeah. Okay. But I don't know.
Did you ever get seasick?
No, I never did. But I'll tell you that when we left San Diego, or I left Frisco, and land swells, really big waves, and I seen guys carrying a bucket. And I seen another guy with a bucket. What in the world they got that bucket? What it was for, don't you? Even that bucket. God, I tell you what, there isn't any sickness that's any worse than seasickness. It's terrible.
Misery.
Guys lose weight, and they go around, their complexion was pale, and they couldn't hold anything on us. A lot of guys, there was chronic seasickness, and they put them on the beach, give them a job on the beach. But I just never, it didn't bother me in the least,
Well, another question I asked Navy guys, can you swim?
You know what? I never learned to swim.
I've always wondered why in the world you go in the Navy if you couldn't swim. Because I could just imagine the ship going down and then you think, I better learn.
At Fraser Island, they had a big swimming pool.
Yeah.
And they wanted to see if you could swim. I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I elbowed my way down the shallow end of the pool and acted like I was swimming, but I was walking. And then I said, what's your name? Franks. And Martin, the name, well, Well, I was a swimmer. I made up my mind I was going to go aboard ship one way or another. You know.
Well, tell me about the operation of the LSD when you're launching craft. You take on water and you.
Yeah, the ship had huge ballast tanks that, like, if they wanted to put boats aboard, they would fill these ballast tanks with water, and the ship would settle down into the water. And then they had a big end gate on the ship. They'd put that end gate down, the boats would come on. And this was almost the full length of the ship. You could get a lot of boats in there.
So kind of like a lock, it would fill with water and just float them in?
Yes.
Okay.
And then there was stanchions made. They would tie that boat to that stanchion. And then when they get them all aboard, then they blow the water out of those tanks, and the ship would come back up.
Okay.
They'd have the tailgate closed, they'd dry, you know. So then, of course, they would tie everything down, and then we'd take off. And of course, it'd be the opposite when they wanted to get rid of them, you know.
How many LCMs could you load up on?
You know what? I'm gonna take an estimate. About maybe 40.
40?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a big ship.
Yeah, it was long. You know, the whole deck went in under the living quarters.
Yeah.
This, you know, and we were high and dry. You know.
Did you say 200 men could get on one of those ships or boats?
Boat, yeah.
So you could have potential of putting 8,000 troops out on the
Yes,
beach.
absolutely. And we probably carry that many at times. You know.
Okay.
And we'd have Marines mostly, the Marines, you know.
So the troops actually got on
Yeah.
the LCMs
Yeah.
before you floated them off. It wasn't a deal where you took the craft out and then they
No, they
climbed
would
down
get on
carbonates
before they'd
and-
leave the ship, you bet.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
When you had a particularly tough invasion, and you knew it was going to be tough, how'd you feel seeing these guys go toward the beach?
Pray for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it affect you? I mean, you
Yes.
Yeah. I
Really.
guess maybe not so much on the first one, but maybe on subsequent ones you
That's
saw.
right. You know, I was scared to death on the first one, you know, because you didn't know what was going to happen, you know.
Tell me about that. That was in the Marshall Islands.
Yeah. And, of course, we never knew where we were going until we almost got there. And they done that for a reason, see. And they didn't want you to worry about it because you did anyhow.
Right.
But, yeah, but you know what? Everything went smooth at Marshall Islands, you know. And, of course, the guys went on the beach, you know, they've seen a lot of action, you know.
Right.
But we didn't have any air attacks or anything when we hit that, you know. Then, of course, we went on to, well, like Guam, you know. And the Japs had an airstrip there, you know. And God, they'd tear us up, you know.
So they didn't have an airstrip at the Marshall
No,
Islands?
no.
Why did we take the Marshall Islands? Was it
I
to build an airstrip?
I
or
have
did
no
you-
idea.
you don't know?
We did, though. We took it, though, you know.
Right.
Some of those flea-bitten islands, I don't know why we ever took them, but I'll tell you something else now.
Practice.
We would, maybe we'd come back to Guam to get a load of boats or something, you know. Of course, it was all real nice then after the invasions. And we go, they'd let us go on the beach, you know. They'd haul us on the beach. And you ever hear of 3-2 beer?
Yeah.
3 2/10% alcohol. We go in there on beer parties, but you had a chit. It was good for 2 beers. But you got to complain to the guys that didn't drink. You take their chits and get a belly full of beer. Hey, another thing. Can I put this? Can I put anything on
You can
this?
put anything on here you want.
All right. I built a still aboard ship.
Oh, no.
And we had an after steering room way down in the bowels of the ship, and had a light down there and had an outlet. And I took a bucket, well, it was a can. All of our fruit came in gallon cans, and I put a wire like this, hung a tin cup on it, and I suppose maybe it cost me $50 to get a little alcohol out of the sick bay. But they had croton oil in it. You know what croton oil is, don't you?
No, no.
Well, don't get too far from the bathroom if you're taking croton oil. Well, some guy told me how to do it, you know. So,
A little bit like making maple syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had an electrician made to build me a hot plate, which probably cost me another $50. And then I'd hang that tin cup on that wire over the top of that gallon can. Then I suppose it cost me another 25 to get a bucket full of ice, you know,
Yeah.
put ice in that bowl. You tip that bowl a little, and the alcohol would boil and collect on the bottom of that bowl and drop down in that tin cup, and that was pure alcohol, 180 proof. A thimbleful is all you want.
Now,
But-
kids, don't do this at home, okay?
But I had lemon powder aboard ship. They make lemonade and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I don't know, it cost me some more to get some lemon
Yeah,
and
moderation.
make whiskey sours. Isn't that terrible?
Kinda
You had to be
sounds like,
careful, you know, you'd get drunk, dead drunk. You had to be careful.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of that stuff.
It's kind of like McHale's Navy, huh?
Yeah. But you know,
Nice.
you know, I wasn't the only one. A lot of guys had raisin jack, you know,
Yeah.
kids somewhere, getting rough weather where you smell that stuff all over the ship.
I see you went to Guadalcanal and Tulagi
Yeah.
on several trips.
Mhm.
They were secure by the time you
Yes,
got there.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
They were earlier
Uh-huh.
battles.
Yeah.
You know, and can't pronounce it. Emerau?
Emerald.
Emeru?
Mhm.
Emeru?
We invaded that place, I think, didn't
Yeah,
we?
that was an invasion. Tell me
Uh-huh.
about that one.
Well, this, you know what? That was another one. I was really surprised. I had a big write-up in the paper, you know, and it listed all the places I was at. And I got a lot of calls from people that, this one lady called me, her son got killed on Emeru. And
Huh.
I remember, sure, you know, a tough battle, but again, this wasn't much to do for us, you know. We just put the troops off, stayed there a while, and of course, repaired small craft. But then we take off and go somewhere else, make another invasion, you know.
To what extent could you actually see what was going on in land? Were you close enough you
yeah.
could see very much?
Iwo Jima, I seen them raise the flag, you know. That was something.
Yeah.
Later on. But of course, there's several of us seen it. In fact, we had that reunion down there. Old pharmacist mate I knew, he said, "Hey, Art, remember the time we seen them raise the flag on Iwo Jima?" I said, "Yep, I sure do."
Wow.
What was his name?
Gee,
Okay.
that thing.
That's
We're not
okay.
trying to put pressure on you, we just want to try to get it
Yeah,
documented.
yeah.
Now, how close would you get to shore when you left?
Oh, I would say, what, maybe 300-400 feet, I suppose, from the beach.
Wow.
Were you
Man.
pounding the shore with cannons?
Yeah, well, the ships would. Other ships, they had
And
bigger.
You said you manned the 20 cal
I was a gunner on 20, I was an aircraft gun.
and
Yeah, and this was something too. I was a gunner, and I didn't have to look at the. Well, I did look at the target, sure, but if I was shooting too far ahead, had a sight setter.
Right.
There's three of a three-man crew. He'd watch that tracers. Every other shell was a tracer, and if it wasn't, he would adjust his sight so I was hitting that target. So
Okay.
if he adjusted that sight, I'd move, you know, and you could always tell. This was strange. You always tell when you're hitting a target, like an airplane. That the bullet would go out of this gun. It looked like it would curve. You know, of course, it was going straight, but it did optical illusion. You know, it looked like that bullet was, and it hit. You know, oh God, suicide planes. I got to tell you about this.
come talk.
You know the guy that started the suicide plane deal,
I don't know the guy.
Colin Kelly. Remember him?
No.
He run his plane into a Japanese battleship, put it out of commission.
Huh.
He was dying. You know, he was.
I didn't know that. Where was this?
I don't know, somewhere in World War II out in the Pacific. But of course, I'm not saying he started it because Japanese are crazy. You know, no value on life at all. You know, but see, I've seen a lot of ships get hit with those crazy guys. We were laying somewhere, I forget where it was at now, but so peaceful. You know, the water was just slick. You know, and here we're getting an air attack. You know. I guess you couldn't hardly see that plane. It's going around circles like this above a battleship. Directly come right straight down and hit that ship. How you done that, I don't know. But there wasn't any wind blowing. and there was a smoke ring went up off that ship. I bet it was a half a mile wide.
Wow.
It
Must
has
have really been
done a lot
loaded
of
down.
damage, you know. Of course, loaded with explosives, you know. And I seen one other time. Here comes a suicide plane, real low, one toward this ship. Of course, everybody was shooting at him. This ship that he was going to hit shot him with a 5-inch shell. And there wasn't anything hit the water.
Wow.
He had that much explosive. Of course, the shell itself was explosive, but I never seen anything hit the water. Just a big ball of fire went up. You know.
Wow. Poof, and he was gone.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but
Better than hitting the ship.
yeah, really. But I've seen a lot of ships get hit. So, gee, it's all toward the end of the war. Terrible. Of course, I was only 360 miles from Japan, and on Okinawa. Is something you want to say?
Yeah. Hollandia?
Hollandia, New Guinea.
Oh,
Invaded
okay,
that place.
okay. Tell me about that one. Was that a tough one?
Well, again, you know, our job was to take the troops in. We did get shot at one time in Iwo Jima.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Of course, we had all kinds of craft on the beach, you know, and a couple Japs got in one of those tanks or something, started out shooting at us. Well, you don't want to know what's going on, you know, that's our tank. Didn't last long, and the destroyer turned the 40 millimeters on it and blew it out of the water, you know. There was a couple Japs.
Could you hit the beach with your guns?
Oh, yeah.
Could I what?
Could you hit the beach with your guns?
Oh, yeah.
You got close
We
enough to do
had,
that?
we had 2 5-inch shell guns on, and there's numerous 40 meter, 40 caliber, and also 20, and all kind of machine guns, sure. We were pretty well armed for that kind of a ship. We could protect ourselves pretty well.
Yeah, Guam. Guam was the next one you had listed. You say Guam was kind of a tough one? Or?
Yes. Yeah, this is, remember that, when they made a movie out of this, No Man is a, what, No Man is an Island? Was that the name of it? He was a signalman. And he got, I don't know, he just got stranded on Guam. He was there the whole time in World War II until we invaded the place.
Huh.
And he'd made a signal light out of a 5-gallon tin can, square can. And he put a light in there off of a battery. He made some fins he could turn and send Morse code on that thing, you know.
Over there.
And that's why the first is a submarine. You know, submarine come up out of the water, and boy, you started calling that submarine.
Huh.
And the Japs seen it. You know, so they started for that hill. Well, all the ships started firing at these Japs and to keep them away from him. My gosh, we got him. We got him off. You know.
Over there.
You know, they've been there all during the war. You know.
Remember his name?
No, no, but they made a movie out of it. So
there.
if you ever get a chance to see that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were on Guam. Were you there very long?
No, I would say maybe 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Was it secure in 2 weeks?
Well, as far as we were concerned, they were still fighting on the beaches, sure, but we had other things to do. You know, we had to go do make another invasion. But
I see you went to Tulagi a lot. Was that a sort of a supply area?
yes,
or-
that's right. That's what it was. You know, we get supplies there, all kinds of ammunition. Yep.
Okay. Then the next one was Peleliu.
Uh huh.
I know about that one.
Yeah, that was tough.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, it really was. You know.
Had 3 ridges right in the middle of the island.
Yes.
That's where most of the tough fighting was.
That's right. Yeah, well, you've read about it, right?
Oh, wait, I've got a friend who was there.
Oh, really?
It broke my heart. He died just about a week before we were able to do our first filming.
Oh, really?
He was there in Okinawa.
Yeah, I was telling you about this
Okinawa.
Charlie Blagg. You know, gee, I wish you'd have got him.
Oh, man. That's what's killing me.
He served in Europe and also in the Pacific. And
He's been great.
in Europe, he was a prisoner of war for, I don't know, a year maybe. But and I never knew it.
Huh.
And he was a friend of mine, you know. He was an engineer at Delco.
That's what you were telling
Yeah.
Vicki Duncan about this.
Yeah.
The fact that a
Yeah.
lot of these guys don't know this about
That's
Art
right,
Franks.
see?
You're going to find out
That's
some
right,
stuff.
that's right. I never talked about it until recently, you know.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I didn't have the desire to. Not that I didn't want to. I just never thought of it. You know, just like those campaign bars. You know, I never thought about getting them and putting them together. You know, but I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did too. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful display.
Yeah.
We mentioned those campaign bars. Let's go ahead and show that while we're
All right.
here. Very nice display. Let me know. Which way to tilt? Okay. The top one is the Gunston Hall, the LSD that we've been talking about. The ship below was the Marshall. It was a destroyer, and this was from Art's days in Korea. You get about every medal under the sun there, don't you? Okay, and then while we're at it, Art served in Korea. You got this nice plaque from the president of Korea, South Korea. I'll read the part on the right if you'll read the part on the left. Got it? Okay. Make sure those got in the film. A little big for the scanner. How long were you at Peleliu?
You know, I don't really know.
Was it
Maybe
another
maybe
a couple more weeks? And then,
yes, yes. Of course, you see, we went from 1943, first invasion, to the end of 45. So, and it made 9 invasions. So, what the average? I don't know what the average would be. But we, like you say, a lot of times in between invasion, we'd haul supplies. We go somewhere else and get them.
Okay.
In fact, I forget where it was at now, but we made many trips, and every time we made a trip, we crossed the equator.
Yeah.
That's why I've got
there's
18
quite
times,
a
18
list
times
there.
crossing the equator,
Wow.
and of course twice crossing the international date line, going over and coming back.
That had to be strange.
But another thing, you know, before you cross the equator, you're a pollywog, you know. And what they call you after, a veteran, I guess. But anyhow, I remember the first time, you know, I was scared. I didn't know what they was going to do to me. Boy, they done it to me, you know.
What did you do?
Initiation, you know, across that equator. But I tell you what, the old skipper set up there like this, he watched every bit of it, you know.
Yeah.
And if it had got out of hand, I'm sure you'd have stopped it.
They didn't like throw you overboard or anything, did they?
No, but I won't put this on film. I'll tell you that.
Okay. You won't have to do that. After Peleliu, I see the next battle is Leyte.
Hmm?
Yeah, when
Philippine Islands.
Okay, Philippine. Was that a landing or a sea battle? I remember the Battle of the Leyte Gulf. but I
Yes,
don't know
well, yes. We invaded it, and then we were there a while. Then we went back somewhere to get supplies and hauled in, and that's when the Japanese fleet come in.
okay.
I missed that. See how lucky I was? You know?
I guess. I reckon.
And I think they didn't do much damage, and we didn't do much damage to them, but they left. But then I think we were still laying there. They regrouped. They had this big battleship, one of the biggest ships in the world.
Yamamoto?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yamamoto, that was the name of it. And got word that the Japanese fleet was coming. We're scared, you know. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, here goes the battleships, the destroyers, the aircraft carriers, and they met them. And they sunk that battleship. First time it was ever in action.
First time in
Hooray,
action.
you know, yeah.
This is good.
First time it was ever in action, they sunk it.
That's great.
Torpedoes.
Huh.
Yeah, had a lot of airplanes, you know, torpedoes on them.
Now, it sounds like you were probably able to see some of the Japanese troops on the islands. Maybe
Yes,
going around.
yes. Yeah, of course we had huge telescopes, you know, being a signalman, you know. And sure, I watched a lot of it on that telescope. Yeah, especially like Iwo Jima. There wasn't no trees, you know. And of course they had that big Mount Surabaki, and they had tunnels in that thing.
Yeah.
They'd run guns out on a track, shoot, and go back in, you know.
Could you see them come out?
Well, yeah, you can see them moving up there, you know, and they shot the hell out of them, you know. Every time they stick their head out, here you go, with a lot of firepower. But a lot of people died there. A lot of our men died on the Iwo Jima. Oh, geez,
Yeah,
terrible.
we did an interview with a
Yeah.
Marine who.
Oh
was
yeah,
shot.
you tell me that.
He was part of the battle.
Well, the first wave of troops that hit Just very, very few survivors, you know. Just kill them, you know. Here come another wave, you know, in, you know. Finally, you know, we took the island. Why, I don't know.
Could you see well enough to really know how the battle was going?
No, because, you know, well, who's winning? You don't know who's winning, you know, they're shooting one another, who's winning, I don't know, you know. Of course, I knew we would take the island eventually. You know, that's what we done. You know, you get in your mind you're going to do it, you got to do it, you know. And I knew that we would take the island. Every place we hit, I knew we were taking, you know.
From your experience of seeing them fight, if we'd had to go into Japan, do you think that we would have got out of there with less than 1 million casualties?
No, no.
Do you think that the citizens there would have gave up if we had not dropped the bomb?
They would not give up.
And
They
the
would
bombs-
fight to the death. The civilians would. I'm sure of that.
So technically, the bomb saved lives on both sides.
That's what I say. Thank God for Harry Truman. You know, he's the guy that gave the word to drop it, irregardless of his politics. You know that. I was glad that he's done that, because I would have made that invasion. We were getting ready to go. It was in Portland, Oregon, like I say, redoing the ship. And everybody knew that we were getting ready to invade Japan, because what was left? Wasn't any islands left.
Right.
So that was the next big thing. Didn't have to go.
Wouldn't have been any element of surprise there at all, would
Yeah,
there?
but you know, as soon as they come back, of course, guys got to leave. You know, port side and starboard side. You know, I think maybe the starboard side left first, and they only gave them about 6 or 7 days. And the war ended, and I got a 21-day leave out of it. Come on, we got married.
Make good use of your time.
Yeah.
Now, you launched the troops from your ship.
Uh-huh.
Did they come back aboard, or
No.
that was someone else's job?
Well, yeah, of course, we would. There would be new troops come out
Right.
for every invasion. You know how they got there, I don't know. Maybe a troop ship or something. I don't know.
What about wounded? Any?
Oh yeah, we'd take wounded back, sure. I remember one guy, big Marine, terrible. You know the way he acted, dirty. He had a gun that was just rust, chunk of rust is all it was. And he was one of the first ones that got killed hitting the beach. You know, he just, I don't know, he just didn't care. You know. Then I seen one. We got one back, had his foot shot off, and he looked at the shoe. So he took that off. He said, "I ain't gonna be using that for a while either." He just give it a throw, you know. But yeah, I seen quite a few of them get wounded. You bet. Especially that a P-38 pilot. That's what he was.
Okay.
From Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember any numbers that might have been on that plane or anything that we could research?
No, I don't. No. It's at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean if you want to go look.
P-38. That would have been a little bit later in the war.
Yeah, you know,
It would have been after Midway.
I don't know where we were at even, you know. I should have kept a better diary. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to keep a diary, you know,
Yeah.
against the law, you know.
Glad you did.
Yeah, well, that's
Someone
not
was
a...
making moonshine, for crying out loud.
Well, hey, I want to show you something here on the back of this book.
I ran an EN club in Vietnam for 6
See that
months.
stain?
I can't talk
Yeah.
about moonshine.
I was carrying that in my little baggie coming home, you know, and leave. I had a fifth of whiskey in there. And of course, I was nipping it all the time. And Shore Patrol took his club like that, hit that bag and broke that bottle.
I knew that stain had a story.
Yeah. Oh,
man.
terrible! You know what? I was pretty bad, you know. Of course, I settled down as soon as I got married and started raising
Well, we
a
scanned
family.
your picture. Those 4 of you guys sitting there, you guys look pretty tough.
You know what? Like I tell you, we looked up and we were scared. You bet.
How bad.
We were scared.
Okay, tell me about I can't get my L's out. Luzon.
Well, I was in the Philippines. See, I was in the northern part of the Philippines. That was also a rough one. Of course, the Philippine Islands not too far from Japan, and that was tough. It really was. A lot of air attacks, But I tell you, we went right by Manila, going to Luzon, and Japs were there.
Huh.
We had air attacks from Manila, shooting our ships. But I often wonder why didn't they take Manila, before we went to Luzon. I don't know. Of course, I think they bombed it every day, and but we did have air attacks from Manila.
I've been told that General Sutherland, his plan of attack was to take the island on the other side of a bad line, take the easier islands and just sort of surround them and cut them off, starve them out.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
That may be why they took that instead of Manila, because it would have been a tougher target.
But I could, when we went to New Guinea, pretty close to Australia,
Right.
and I could see Australia.
Could you really?
Yeah, I put the big glass on, I could see people moving over there. I thought, my gosh, I wish I was over there,
Well, I bet the Japanese could see Australia too when they were
Well,
that
yeah.
close. That had
Yeah,
to be pretty scary. I didn't realize it was that close.
yeah, real close.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough.
But I like my hobbies. I like my ham radio,
Yeah.
and I'd run foam patches for people from all over the world on that thing, And in fact, I still run them from that Antarctic, that big base they got down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I run foam patches all the way from there. But
There.
the longest foam patch I ever run was a ship in the Red Sea. That's halfway around the world.
Wow. That is.
So I only run 90 watts on the radio. But I got an antenna that probably filled this room, It's a huge thing. But we had a fire in our home about 3 years ago. Lightning struck and set the house on fire and blew up all my radio equipment. We were out of our home for 2 months. The fire never did get into the living quarters, but smoke and water, oh my, it ruined a lot of stuff,
Well, you never know. It's a beautiful home.
I know, yeah, but you never know it now, would you?
Nice
But,
job restoring it.
Yeah, I only give $20,800 for the home. And that fire done $35,000 damage.
Oh, gee.
But I would never move. I'm gonna stay right there. I love it there.
Nice place. Good neighbors.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of thinking that when we took the Philippines back, that there had to be a great satisfaction in that, being that was one of the first
It was.
islands taken.
It was. You know what? When we done that, I thought we got them whipped. We done all that, and we got them whipped for sure.
So that was the turning. That was.
Yeah.
You knew that was it.
Of course, we still had to go to Iwo Jima
Right.
and Okinawa. Okinawa was close to Japan, 360 miles away. Oh, they threw everything. They threw everything at us they had.
I bet.
My God, I didn't know they had such a huge air force.
By that time, they had to know that we were going to take Okinawa.
Yes.
They had to know it was right in the
Sure,
path.
they had to know it. Sure.
Yeah.
But I have a friend, Cecil Graves, from Delco. He was a inspection foreman out there. He made the land. He was a soldier. He went ashore at Okinawa, and the only invasion he ever made. But that's the way they done it, though. Those guys, you had to be careful. You'd drive them crazy if you had made it every island.
Right.
But they get a fresh crew to take the next island.
Did you deal with them very much
The troops.
while they were waiting to?
Sure. I talked to them a lot. But you had to be careful. Don't bump into a Marine. Accidentally, don't bump him.
Right.
Oh, mean. They were taught that. And I'll tell you another thing out in the South Pacific. One of those islands out there, they had a big sign made. Now that I can never understand this philosophy. Kill Japs, kill more Japs on that sign.
Huh.
Of course, now that I know that, I've done a lot of good. Yeah, we'll kill them. We'll get right in there and kill them.
Was that Tulagi?
It might have been.
I remember.
Have you heard about it?
John Kennedy mentioned that in,
Yeah, yeah.
in the book PT 109.
Oh yeah.
He mentioned seeing that sign.
Yeah.
I think it was Tulagi.
I seen it. Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah. Kill Japs, kill more
Kill
Japs.
more Japs, yeah.
What we did. Oh my gosh. I don't know how many men lost their lives. And you had to be careful. Like Okinawa, the harbor was just full of junk. Cardboard boxes, wooden boxes, and the Japs would get underneath one of those things and swim out and get aboard ship. Done some damage, you know. So, of course, we had roving patrols on the ship every night, you know. They'd wait till night to get on, you know, to come up the anchor chain, you know, even. Well, I was going down the deck one night, and I seen somebody coming toward me. God, hackles went up on my neck, you know. And there was a door. I went in that door, and of course it wasn't a Jap, it was just another sailor.
Yeah.
Scary.
Not bad. Yeah, spooky stuff. Huh?
Yeah. I was always glad I was put up on the top of the ship, you know. There's no way they had to come up to get me if they wanted me.
Right. Did any of them ever get on board?
No, not our ship, no. But I've seen them, you know, they'd shoot them. Always shooting those boxes with machine gun, you know, shoot
Yeah.
them boxes. And you've seen quite a few Japs floating in the water, you know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Wow. I hadn't heard that.
Oh,
You gotta change.
this is nasty.
Oh, got to change.
Now, where we at?
Okay, you were going to tell us something. Oh shoot, I forgot.
Oh, that sign, I guess, where we left off, wasn't it?
Yeah, they
Well,
had
you
a
left
sign.
off with shooting the bodies and hanging.
Yeah, yeah.
See, I'm gonna tell you something really bad,
Yeah.
and that's where we stopped.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, another one. Yeah, sure. Something really bad. They had a corpse stacked up like cordwood, Japs. Somebody, they wasn't using their head, but they poured gasoline on them and tried to burn them. You know, it's body's hard to burn because they're what 90% water. You know. Oh, I seen that wouldn't work, so here come the bulldozers and dug a big trench and just shoved them in there and covered them up.
Wow.
There's a lot of bones there on the
bet.
beach. You know. And another, we were at a terrific air attack one day, and oh God, you know, smoke all over, you know, from guns, you know, and had aircraft carriers sending the planes off. I'd be damned if the troops on that carrier wasn't shooting their own planes down. You know, that happened. I seen that happen. You know, yeah, they just shooting their own planes.
Wow.
Trigger happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, scared. You know. Yeah. You know what? Sitting there talking, I can think of a lot of things now. You know, that I almost forgot. You know.
That's kind of why we use this format.
Yeah, yeah,
One thing kind of prompts another.
yeah. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah. One thing leads to another.
What were some of the ships that you traveled with? I mean, do
Oh,
you recall
well,
some of the
yeah.
battleships or
Yes.
aircraft
we-
carriers?
Yes, we traveled with them, sure. And always destroyers and destroyer escorts, you know, and small craft that could keep up with us, you know. And yeah, the biggest, I think the biggest invasion I was ever in, Leyte maybe, I think it was. And oh, here's a story I got to tell you. They had so many ships, you know. Yeah, they got counting ships. They had one too many. And the one that wasn't supposed to be there, you know. Well, you know, we got the word, you know, that we got one too many ships. And of course, we had a code. You could send a blinking light or Morse code. Like ABC 1223 was a code for that day. You send them that code, and you're supposed to send it back. They didn't know what it was. You know?
Uh-oh.
So they sent a couple destroyers out there. There went a torpedo right into that thing, knocked it out of the water. Now, I never did know what the hell it was, you know. Never did.
Must have been a Japanese ship. that
It
slept in
had to
there.
be. They were crazy, you know,
Wow.
traveling with us, you know.
Yeah, too many players on the field, huh?
Yep. It wasn't too many. Of course, it was a small boat, a small
Yeah.
ship, but I never did find out what it was. I'll bet there's no record of it, you know.
Probably not.
Yeah. But,
What were some of the battleships that you?
oh, I got this story to tell you about the Missouri. We were laying at Okinawa, yeah, and we were at anchor. And my job was to take bearings too, from a fixed object here, a fixed object here, and one here, and they had to be the same all the time. If they wasn't, you're dragging anchor. So if you're dragging anchor, boy, you got to tell somebody. You know. Anyhow, I was looking through this telescope, you know, rangefinder and all that, you know, and what the heck is that? You know, another island? I didn't know that island was out there. Directly, is that ship moving or are we moving? You know, or that island? That was the Missouri.
Wow.
I never seen such a huge ship in all my life. You know,
Island.
well, that's where they saw. That's where they signed the surrender. You know, in the Missouri.
I've heard about the Texas. I know it was at Iwo Jima.
What was?
At the Texas.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
it was there.
Yeah. Of course, you know, I don't know. You'd ought to get somebody. You'd ought to get to Indianapolis and get a survivor off the USS
I'd
Indianapolis.
love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to. Got a lot of respect for those guys.
Yes. That's where,
Tough
boy, we
times.
lost a lot of people there. Sharks. Can you
Yeah.
imagine
Yeah.
a shark pulling you underneath you?
See,
God dang, that's a hell of a way to die, you know?
it sure would be.
Yeah.
All right, next one was Iwo Jima. I know that was tough.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like I say, you know, that you could see it. You could see the bodies on the beach, you know. Just, oh, you know. Of course, the craft that hit on the beach, most of it was knocked out too. And these guys had no protection, you know. Only their gun. That's the only protection they had. They couldn't hide, you know. Just lava dust is all it was. And they had these, I forget what they call these vehicles now, but they mired down that sand. They couldn't move.
Yeah.
You know. So before the war, before they took the island, they got some engineers in there and they put tracks on it, you know, and deflated the tires on some of them. But just a few pounds in there, they'd flatten out and they could go. But they put treads on some of them. But they were a valuable piece of equipment, you know, but we couldn't use them. That's how they lost a lot of people, you know. Equipment failure. You know.
That- Did the attitude of the Marines change as you went into more and more battles? Could you see
Mean.
the
Yes.
hardening of the foes?
Yes, absolutely. You bet. Yeah, like I say, don't bump one of them.
Yeah.
Be ready to fight, you know.
Mean tough or mean scared? Can you?
Well, it could be, yeah. Could be mean scared, yeah. Yeah. But they were, I tell you, I admire the Marines. You know, I really do. Those guys over there now, they're so they're disappointed over there now. All they're doing is in a hole.
Yeah.
You know, they're not doing anything. And I heard they interviewed this one guy. Said, "Oh, he said this is hell. You know, every day in this hole." It showed they had a bottle of water they wash their body with. You know, and another guy shaving. You know, in that hole.
Yeah.
Because they want to fight.
I want to do something.
They're made to fight. You know,
Right.
every Marine is a fighter. You know, so I admire them.
So Iwo Jima was pretty tough. Were you there for the standard
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I remember 2 weeks. Then I don't know where we went.
Ulithi,
Ulithi, huh?
and then Manus,
Yeah.
and Leyte.
Well, now that invasion of Leyte, yeah.
Well, you went back.
Wait a minute.
This is after Leyte had been taken. Apparently, it was secure.
Yes,
'Cause I see it
yes,
mentioned
yes,
several
sure,
times.
sure. Well, we were hauling supplies somewhere. Then we're getting ready for the invasion of Okinawa then too.
In July the 1st, 1945,
Yep,
Okinawa.
remember? Yes, sir. D-Day, Okinawa.
Wow.
That's our 91 days.
You remember that date, huh?
I sure do. I sure do.
Close to the 4th of July, too. huh?
Yeah. Well, you know, we knew it was close to Japan. What's left? Where's the next island, you know?
Right.
Then, of course, we come back to the States then, you know.
Tell me about Okinawa.
Well, just like any other island out there, a lot of, well, most of them, Iwo Jima was an exception. No vegetation at Iwo Jima, but just a forest. Really, it's all big green trees. You know, beautiful. You know, just absolutely beautiful. And of course, then a lot of time the water would be real calm. You know, you could see the moon in the water. You know, at night, and you just thought, what in the world are we doing here? You know, that, of course, the guys on the beach was catching hell all the time, you know. But I tell you, I feel real fortunate. I never got a scratch, you know.
Weren't there a lot of kamikazes around Okinawa?
Yes, you better believe it. No, I'm going to tell you another story now. once in a while we would have air attacks, just a few planes, you know, where we were at. Down here was a perimeter where they had destroyers, aircraft carriers, battleships. You know, these planes would come over in big droves. Well, it was their job to protect us, you know, out here on this perimeter. And those guys caught hell out there. Oh my, you know. In fact, I read a story, I didn't know this till I read it, where one of our battleships, one of their battleships, they couldn't hardly fight at night. Back then the radar didn't amount to much, you know.
Right.
Come daylight, and they were real close to one another. You know, they both started firing, you know.
Wow.
And I think that ship of ours got sunk. And of course the other one was their ship was badly damaged and put out of commission. But oh my, you read stories like that, you know, you say, oh gee, you know. Then this destroyer I was on before, it was a World War II destroyer also. But I seen that thing when the USS Franklin aircraft carrier got hit by a couple of kamikazes and a batch of fire. You know, it was on fire. And that little destroyer alongside pumping water on it. It looked like a midget inside that big aircraft carrier. The Franklin, that was the name of it.
Okay.
I think it's named after Franklin Roosevelt, I believe. Well, I'm not sure.
Okay, Franklin Roosevelt died while you were
Yes,
out in the
yeah,
South
that was a
Pacific.
sad day,
Tell
you
me
know.
about that.
Yeah, of course we had a news. We got the news every day, you know. And they got it from Washington D.C. They put out what they wanted us to know, you know. But it was always interesting, and there it was, you know. That's how we learned that he had died.
Quite a
And-
shock, wasn't it?
Yeah, and of course Truman, he didn't mean a thing to me back then. You know, I thought, what kind of president is that guy going to be? Well, he's went down in history as a good one, you know.
He was a good
Yeah.
one.
But yeah, that was a sad day when old FDR died. You know, right in the middle of the war. You know.
Kind of take the wind out of your sails?
Yeah. Sad day. Irregardless of politics, that was our commander in chief. You know.
Do you recall where you were? I forget when it actually happened. Do you?
You know what? I don't know. Anyone know the date? Of course, the year was 1945. We know that.
Yeah.
I imagine, let's see, I think it was pretty well toward the end of the war, it seems like, wasn't it? Yeah. I would say, see, we got in April. I would say maybe November or December of 44, or 43. No, 44. Yeah, when he died, I imagine.
This is probably just before the Battle of Luzon.
Yeah.
Got quite a story there.
Yeah.
17 days later, after you dropped the troops off at Okinawa, you're at Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. Is that right? You counted it up, huh?
Sure did.
17 days to get from there. All right.
July the 18th, 1945.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Pulling into Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor, never got off the ship. Yes, I did too. I got Liberty there, but just for a few hours, you know. And you know what? We've been back there several times since, the wife and I. And at that time, lean-to was about all they had. I had a building with a lot of lean-tos, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, at that time, the prostitutes were just everywhere, you know. And but it was kind of a cruddy place, you know. Now, my land, you go to Oahu, gee, they got a 4-lane highway, you know, around the island. And of course, we rented a car while we were there and traveled all over that place. That's where the big cemetery is too, you know, on Oahu. But yeah, we enjoy it there now. We've done a lot of traveling. I'm a Mason. I belong to the Eastern Star, and they had this trip planned together to take a tour of Europe. You know, my gosh, I was in 5 countries over there and stayed in the same hotel every night. A little expensive, you know.
Yeah.
We had to, but well, of course, we had those 5 countries. It's just great to visit those countries, you know. But we come to the border of Germany and Switzerland. Is that where I was at? Yeah. And of course, you had to show your passport. You know, He looked like a Gestapo. Got aboard. They told us what he would be like, so don't say anything to him. They show him your passport. Man, he scrutinized every passport, you know. Well, what's the big deal? You know,
Yeah.
his job, you know.
Yeah.
He was doing his job, I guess. And the beer over there's terrible. Oh, you ever drink anything called Kirsch? They serve it to you in a glass about that big, about a half full.
Stuff.
It's made out of cherry. That's terrible. So I had to taste some, you know. My son told me, he said, hey, he said, get some Kirsch while you're over there, all right? I don't drink stuff like that, you know. Whiskey, no. Mhm.
So where'd you go from Pearl Harbor? That's kind of the end of the log
Oh,
here.
up to Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Went up the Columbia River. Boy, that was a thrill.
Yeah.
People standing on the beach waving at us, you know.
Yeah.
And we got, of course, that was fresh water. Boy, did we ever give the ship a scrub down, you know.
I bet.
That water coming out of those big fire hydrants, and hose about that big around. Got a lot of dirt off the ship. But then we were in dry dock as soon as we got there. They was working on the ship. Well, there wasn't anything to do there either. So I rented an apartment in a big hotel and brought my wife out, you know, be there with me until we left. But then on our 25th wedding anniversary, we went back to Portland. You know, she had a brother lived in southern Oregon. Visit him when we stopped in Portland.
What was his
And,
name?
that hotel was still standing there, and the same people was running it in 45 was still running that thing.
Oh, no kidding, really?
Do you know their
That's
names?
quite a find.
No, I don't know that, but you know
What about your brother-in-law's name?
what?
Your brother-in-law's name?
My brother-in-law.
Yeah,
What's his name?
what was your brother-in-law's name that you stayed with there in Oregon?
Oh yeah. Oh, Harry Van Dolson. Yeah, her oldest brother. And Coosbury, Oregon. That's where he lived. And of course, that's a beautiful town. There was a lady mayor in 45. That was very unusual.
Yeah,
You know,
I think so.
back then.
I think that must come from the pioneer days, because a lot of women had to take charge
Yes,
in that
that's right,
situation.
that's right.
I see
Yep.
women are much more prominent in the West than they are
Yeah.
back East.
Yeah, I know it. But you know what? I think women could probably run this country better than men do. I'm not kidding you. I really think so. Of course, I don't think I'd ever vote for Hillary, but who knows though? You know,
So you were, where were you when the war ended?
Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And you heard the news about the atomic bomb.
Yeah, oh my yes. Yeah, getting my hair cut. I'll never forget that. You know.
Oh yeah? Yeah, okay, give me some detail. What happened?
Well, okay. We're talking to the barber. He had the radio on, you know, hearing the news, you know. And he said, "Whoa!" He said, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "A bomb knocked out a whole city, and to give the population of it, you know." And he said, "Just imagine what that would be." Of course, the guy kept talking, you know, atomic bomb. And that's when he asked me. He said, "What's atomic? What is that?" I said, "I don't know, but I think it's got something to do with the sun, which it does, doesn't it?"
Right.
Yeah, but I didn't know anything about it. He said, "My gosh," he said, "you know what?" He said, "That's probably the end of the war." I said, "Oh my God, I hope so." So then they dropped the other one on Nagasaki.
Nagasaki.
Of course, that was a sealer, and that's when it stopped. You know, they knew what was coming. Yeah, it would have kept right on with the atomic bomb if they hadn't give up. You know, they'd have been hitting Tokyo. And you know something else? I bet a lot of people don't know. At one time, somebody had the idea of getting a bunch of bats, the creature bat, and have some kind of an incendiary outfit on this bat and release them over Tokyo. And at night, they would get in a crevice somewhere. This thing was timed. It'd set that building on fire. You know? But you know what? I know somebody said, "No, you can't do that. You can't kill an animal to do that." You know.
Yeah.
But you could kill a human. You couldn't kill the animal. You know?
Not quite the same, huh?
But that would have been something, wouldn't it? They could have set the whole city on fire, you know. But, Too bad they didn't do it.
I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah.
That's one of those.
Well, did you?
little
A lot
nuggets you
of
just
people don't know
figure.
the Japanese submarine fired on the West Coast one time too. Do you know that?
Yeah, I know of German U-boats hitting the East Coast.
Japanese did on the West Coast too.
Where? Do you
I don't
recall
know.
where?
I don't know now.
California or?
Yeah, I think California, sure. Yeah. But getting pretty close, wasn't it?
It's pretty close.
You know, I tell you what, fellas, if the Japanese would have kept on, they could have invaded the West Coast. Because we were ill prepared for it, you know. They lost their fleet at Pearl Harbor, so they could have invaded the States.
I know shortly after Pearl Harbor, a lot of people were worried about just that.
Absolutely.
Were you of that mind? I mean, did you?
Yes, sure. And if they hadn't have turned back, we'd have fought those guys in the mountains forever, you know. Yeah. Did you read the story about this Japanese? I think he was on Okinawa. They didn't. Years later, they found him living up in the hills, you know. He didn't know where the war had ended, you know. Years, you know, he's up there living off roots and I don't know, animals and stuff. That's well, terrible.
Everybody just thought he was an angry neighbor or something.
Yeah.
You get that down in some of the hills of this country.
Really?
Don't mess with my property.
Yep.
So you didn't end it there. The war was over, but your career was still going on. You were still in the Navy?
Oh yes. I got out I got discharged December the 17th, 1945.
Okay, so you got out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't want to be in there, no.
And then this Korea thing came.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I was in the reserve. I got called back. But I didn't stay long, 6 months. So my wife was in a terrible automobile accident. And the doctor, I got a letter from the doctor, you know, he said, you know, you really ought to get out of the Navy and take care of your lady. You know? I know, my God, how would I do that, you know? So I talked to my division officer, told him about it. He said, well, Franks, he said, you got to get statements from people at home to write a letter and give it to someone, Washington, D.C. or somewhere, you know. And he said, it's a long process. But he said, if I were you, he said, I would do that. I said, oh, hey, guys, you know. So I did. And it wasn't too long till I got the message, you know, to report back to the States, you know, and for discharge. Well, I didn't serve very long in the Korean War.
That's good.
Because I wouldn't have seen any action anyhow in that destroyer, you know. A little patrol duty probably.
When did you sense that we were in trouble there and that we probably would be getting involved? Was it pretty evident that we were going to be sending troops in early on, or
You mean any islands, you mean?
in Korea?
Oh, I had no sense of it. I didn't even know. I'd never seen the island. I'd never seen the country. You know, I didn't know anything about it at all. No.
They just called you up one day and said, we got this war over here. We'd like police action over here.
Greetings. The President of the United States, you know.
The same Harry Truman that you admired for dropping the bomb and
Yep,
keeping you out of Tokyo
yep.
called
But
you up again.
yeah, but I tell you what, I've always admired that guy for doing that. And of course, you know, there's still people that say he done the wrong thing. You know, he shouldn't have done that. But there'd have been a good million of us died if he hadn't.
I don't hear too many World War II vets say that.
Yeah.
Some do.
Yeah.
Too many.
I'll never say that. No.
So tell me about your time on the destroyer. Where did you first
Okay,
get on board?
well, it was out of commission, you know. A whole bunch of destroyers tied up together at pardon me, Long Beach, California. And of course the crew had to take it out of commission. Now everything was covered with spray plastic. You know, had to scrape all that plastic off, repaint everything on the ship. And of course, I didn't have too much to do. I was a petty officer, and I had a crew that I was over to do a lot of the work. I done some, sure I did, but we had a good skipper. You know, he loved his crew. You know, he came up on the bridge one day and said, "Boy, Franks," he said, "you got this looking pretty good." I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "I think it does." And each side of the bridge the conning tower, you know, the guy inside steering the ship. On each side, there was a pipe. There's supposed to be a chair in there, a chair over here. He said, Franks, I don't have any chair up here. I said, I noticed that, sir. He said, I'll leave you get me one. Aye, sir. I stole them. The ship's tied up. Went down the gangway one day, and of course the officer of the day was there. I told him, I said, I got to go over on this destroyer. Captain's orders. Over there I went, and I had to carry one at a time back. And I got back, and the officer on the deck said, well, what are you doing? I said, there was a couple chairs over there belonging on this ship. I went over and got them. Oh, so I stole them is what I'd done. I just pulled them out of that pipe, brought them back, stuck them in that pipe on our ship, cleaned them up real good, painted the metal work on them. He came over and said, Franks, boy, that was quick work. He said, where did you get those? I said, Captain, sir, ask me no questions and I'll tell you no lies. He said, you stole them, didn't you?
What was the captain's name?
I can't even remember that.
There's a
I
nice
remember.
guy.
I remember our first skipper on that LSD.
What is it?
Was named Dale Collins.
Dale
Was
Collins.
He was all right, but he was strictly Navy. You know, he didn't want to associate with the crew.
Yeah.
But I did do that one day. We had an ice cream freezer. You know, somebody brought it aboard, and we get the ice, you know, make ice cream. I was up there on deck one day, and in behind a storage area, there was nobody to see me. God, looked up, there was a skipper, you know. So I said, we're making ice cream. He said, well, yeah. He said, that's great, isn't it? And he, yes, sir. So I said, I'm done. Would you care for a decent? No, Franks, no, I don't want any ice cream. So, but he didn't want to associate with the crew, see. And another thing, I was a weatherman too. You know, trained for. To tell you the truth, now I can't even look at a cloud and tell you what it is. You know, but I could then. You know, and every hour when we were underway, we had what they called a wet and a dry thermometer. I had to take the readings off of those, enter them in a log, and the shape of the sea, how approximately how high the waves, you know, and that was interesting. I enjoyed that too. But and of course the ship, the flag, the U.S. flag on the ship. This is something too that when you're laying at anchor, you put the ship up you put the flag up at 8 o'clock in the morning, precisely at 8. You know,
Yeah.
you can look all the other ships and everybody was synchronized. You know, put the flag up, and underway flew all the time. Never took it down. See, of course they really got beat up. You know, just flag after flag after flag. They were cotton flags. You know, wouldn't last very long. But then there was only one flag that could go higher than the U.S. flag. That's a church pennant.
Oh, really?
The big long pennant, about that long, made out of the same material, and that could be above our flag.
I never heard
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
What did it look like? Can you describe it?
Yeah, it was red and white, had a cross,
Okay.
a picture of the cross.
Similar to the Christian flag that we see in our churches?
That what?
I've seen the Christian flag in several churches.
Yeah,
Is it
no,
similar to
it
that?
wasn't like that. No,
Not quite.
no. But this was just a red cross on a white background. You know.
Okay.
And I made flags too. We had a sewing machine aboard ship.
Did you really?
Yeah, and that was another thing. When we, especially on that destroyer, they found out I could sew. Of course, you know, I'd make my flags. You know, but anyhow, wasn't working right. Sewing machine wasn't working right. You know, old. You know, wore out. So, of course, my job to get parts. You know, so, my gosh, where do I get parts? You know, so get on the signal light. You know, you got any parts for so and so type of sewing machine? I'd ask the signalman that. See,
Yeah.
he'd say, I'll check. He come back, yeah, we got a few. I'll be aboard. So I get permission to go aboard the ship and get some parts, you know. My gosh, I got everything for that sewing machine. Practically a new machine, you know. Carried it all back to the ship, repaired everything, got it going, my God. I don't know how I'd done it, you know. But, and we had what they called a bunning locker. That's what those flags were made out of bunting, B-U-N-T-I-N-G. And of course, we had a flag for the whole alphabet plus 1 to 0, you know. And if we got one that was tattered, I had to make a new one, you know. But I enjoy running that sewing machine. You know.
You get busy.
I made a little money too on the side.
How'd you get from one ship to the other?
A boat,
So
just small,
you
small
weren't,
boat.
you weren't underway at that point. You were.
Oh no,
set
you
somewhere.
know you're laying an anchor, sure, yeah. But you know, with a ship's boat, we had several of them. But the captain had a gig. He called the captain's gig.
Yeah.
He had his own private boat. Man, there's chrome on that thing, you know, and brass work. Crew, had a 2-man crew working on that thing all the time, you know, polishing it, keeping it clean. Some admiral seen that thing, made him get rid of it. Had to send it back to the States. Then on, he rode in a boat like the rest of the crew. I hated to see that happen because you know, he really liked that thing. You know.
Yeah.
But of course, I think it'd have been all right if he hadn't polished all that stuff, make it shine, and you'd see it.
Yeah.
And you know, we had to paint all the brass work on the ship, on the top side, you know, so it wouldn't show. You know. And you know, on the signal deck, we had an enclosed little building, and after dark, you go in that thing, dark, you know, you get in, and then you had to close it, and you had to dog it real good, you know, make it sure it was tight, then turn the light on. You know, you could do your messages or whatever it was, you know, and that's where we kept everything, you know, for signal work. Then you had to make sure you turned that light out before you undog that lock, that door, you know, no light.
Yeah, they get after you on that one.
Yeah, but you know what? We had another signaling device, looked like a gun, about that big around a barrel,
Yeah.
and it was called a black light. You ever hear of it? And you could call a ship. You can't see that light, but you had to wear a pair of goggles to see it.
Okay.
Well, one of the signalmen, he wore those goggles for 4 hours and be looking around and see if anybody's calling, you know. And you could communicate that way.
Huh.
But black light.
I guess I'd seen something similar to that in movies, but
Yeah.
I really didn't know
Yeah,
that kind of detail on it.
yeah, black light.
Wow.
And this little thing had batteries in it, you know, this gun. And of course, low voltage, you know, batteries would last forever, you know. But just bright enough where they could see it, you know. Yeah.
So where did you go on the destroyer? Did you get out to sea at all?
And you know, China Sea for a while, you know, just patrol, and that's all we done. It's monotonous as all get out, you know.
You say you liked the destroyer, though.
Yeah, I like the ship. If we were at the anchor or a dock or anywhere, every Saturday morning you could order your breakfast from a menu.
Wow.
Yeah. Of course, they had a menu here: sausage and eggs, bacon and eggs, pancakes and sausage, or whatever. You know, you get your own food, and served to you. You sit down at long tables. There come what they call mess cooks. You know,
Yeah.
They serve the food to you.
Wow.
That was great.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. Yep. Nowhere else in the service would they do that. You know. No.
You spent a little time in the China Sea, and then you came home.
Yeah.
Came back to where? Long Beach?
Wait a minute, where'd I land? No, I landed in Seattle,
Seattle.
Washington. Well, and wait a minute, that's where I got my discharge, Seattle. And then, of course, they paid my way home, you know. And, didn't take me long to get into civilian clothes.
Yeah.
I got that discharge, went right over and got a pair of pants and a jacket. That's what I wore home.
You were telling us why you didn't pick up your medals.
Hawaii, didn't I?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good story. Of course, I've been out in the South Pacific for a couple of years, you know, and my blood was thinner than water, you know. And I got my discharge in Great Lakes, Illinois. The day I got my discharge, it was 18 below zero. And here sat that train to take us into Chicago to catch our train home. You know. And over here was a little building. That's where you're supposed to get in and get $4 to get to Chicago and pick up your medals if you had any coming, you know. Well, I seen that old conductor standing there clapping his hands with earmuffs on, you know, keep them warm, steam stuff flying. I went over and I said, does this train go to Chicago? Well, yes, it goes to Chicago. Well, how much does it cost? It was $4. I reached in my pocket and got $4 and gave them went aboard. So they still owe me $4. You had to think, you know.
Yeah.
And there was a line outside that building. Guys standing there stomping their feet, clapping their hands, and go there and get that $4, you know. No, not if you had $4 on you, you paid, you got aboard. Of course, I know what happened. The conductor probably stuck that in your pocket. And I don't blame him if he did, you know. Oh, anyhow, I would have probably never got those medals if it hadn't been for my son. You know, he just thought that was terrible. I never got them. You know, well, you don't think about it, you know.
Yeah.
I come home and got married, you know, raised a family, and worked, you know. I never thought about medals, you know. And I know that a lot of people doesn't know what I went through, you know. They don't know it, you know.
No idea.
Even I'm sure I got neighbors that don't know anything about it, you know. But, I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't because I couldn't talk about it. I just never did, you know. A lot of guys can't talk about it. They won't talk about it, you know. But I wish you could have got that Charlie Black.
Yeah.
See, there's some more guys here in town too. I'll have to think about see who they are.
So you got back into civilian life pretty quick.
Yeah,
Went to work where?
Remy.
Delco Remy.
Well, not the first time. Well, the first job I had was working for my father-in-law, painting. He was a painting contractor. But well, I couldn't make much money there, you know.
What was his name?
Cloyd Van Dolson, painting contractor. You remember his brother used to live out on 32, drove that old-fashioned truck, chain-driven truck. It's in the Smithsonian Institute now.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyhow, I went to work for him, and but you know, I put in an application for guide lamp in Delco Remy. Got a notice in the mail, go to work both places. So they were really hiring, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, I found out that Delco or guide lamp laid off a lot, you know. So I went to Remy. I never got laid off.
Huh.
Never got laid off.
That's quite a story.
Yeah.
It used to be pretty regular.
But I had a job, what do they call them? 2 cents more on the hour?
Yeah, skilled trades or?
No, production. I forget what they called the job, but anyhow, I had one, 2 or 3 cents more on the hour. Well, come layoff time, they'd have to lay off so many out of this group, but most of them would be general classification that got laid off. Well, I didn't get laid off, you know. So I kept that job. Then I went on a utility man. I was a utility man for 23 years. Great job, you know, I loved it. Then I went on supervision, that's where I lost my head. Right?
Right.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Worst job in the world.
Yeah, I lost all my friends. First day on there, you know, I lost all my friends.
Union people hate you and the management people hate you.
Well, you know what? I got along pretty good with the people that worked for me. I figured 5% of the people were rotten. Am I right? And but you keep jacking those people every day, you know, just tear them up, you know. And the good people see you doing that, writing warning tickets and all that, you know. They'd work a little better, you know. Boy, this guy's really on those guys, you know. And that's what you got to do, you know. If you want your good people to work, you got to take care of the bad ones, you know. I found that out. Of course, there's so many things I'd done out there. I was a utility man for years, and I knew how things operated, you know. And worked on a point system. And 100 points was what you had to get, or close to it, you know. So some days I'd get 130 points. I'd take that extra 30 points, I'd file it in my locker, you know, keep it under lock and key. So maybe one day I'd only get 80, I'd go out there and get 20 points, and always getting 100 points.
Always kept it.
So the guy I worked for, the general foreman, he said, how you doing that? I told him, oh my God, you can't do that. He said, you can't do that. And I said, well, I'm doing it. He said, you know what? He said, you're a slick son of a gun. And then my department done great every day, you know. And I don't know why they'd done this, but they would post it up there by the superintendent's office. What department was where, you know, in the ladder. I'll tell you, mine was on top most of the time, you know. So I got seeing stuff. We got an expenses sheet every day. What we spent. I looked at that. I don't remember ordering that. You know, several of them on there. And the only utility man had been in there for years in this department. It was Frame Line. Worst department in Delgarimi. Anyhow, come here, Shady. His last name was Lane. He had a nickname of Shady. Shady Lane? I said, Shady, go over this thing, will you? I said, I don't think we're buying all this stuff. He looked at it. He said, got a pencil? You know, we don't use that. We don't use that. We don't use that. What in the world's going on? You know? So I talked to my boss about it. He said, don't you know what happens? Tell me what happens. Did your department's on the top of the list up there? And he said, the guy down there on the bottom is getting stuff and charged it to you. Mm-hmm. Now we're trying to stop that, Art. He said, now you won't do that, will you? No. You know what I done? I started ordering stuff and make that guy on the bottom pay for it. I didn't pick out a guy making money. You know, I put it right back in his lap, you know. And that dog eat dog every day, isn't it? You know? But I had more trouble with other supervision than I did with my people. You know, so many of them, they want that promotion, you know. They do anything to get promoted, you know. Yeah. Son of a gun.
Yeah.
They got a chance.
Okay.
We don't have one available. Where's the box?
Is that it?
Oh,
I'm getting about ready to quit.
Yeah, we're going to do just a few more
I
minutes.
would like for him to explain his medals.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, here's the LSD I was on. Landing Ship Dock, LSD.
Gunston Hall. And you mentioned to me earlier, this is LSD 5.
Yes.
So this was the original. And there was another one?
Yes. Okay,
There is a new Gunston Hall in
I'll go
service?
into the story on that. This was the original USS Gunston Hall, number 5. And they made a new Gunston Hall that's got a helicopter pad back here, and also these vehicles that go above the water, what are they called?
Hovercraft?
Yeah, hovercraft.
Okay.
And that's what they use now instead of
Okay.
boats. It's all hovercraft in there. But it's built a lot different, and very nice ship. There's one that's a Gunston Hall LSD 44. And the number is 44, like I say. And there's a lady skipper. There's a lady skipper on that ship. And I've communicated with I sent an email to the communication officer. I wanted a hat, you know. And so gosh, he sent me back right away, you know, and sent me a hat, a cap, you know.
Cool.
The USS Gunston Hall LSD 44.
Yeah.
Well, I took the 44 off, my wife made it 5. Anyhow,
So it
then
comes in
I bought
handy.
2 new ones when I went to Corpus Christi, the LSD 5. Anyhow, that then what do we got here? That's World War II.
War II medal.
World War II medal. Here's the National Defense Medal. The American Campaign Medal. What is that one? Liberty. That's a Liberty Medal.
With 2 clusters.
And this is the Asiatic Pacific Campaign Bar. And here's all my battle stars. This kind of a chrome star here, it's a little bit bigger than the rest. That represents 5 battles, and these are 1 battle each. So there's 4 bronze and 1 shiny one here. That they all stand for 9 battles. And over here is the
That's the Navy.
Navy, right? Yeah. And here's the Korean bar. And like I say, here's the Navy bar.
The oldest ribbon.
You say it's one of the oldest ribbons?
Yes, one of the oldest ribbons in existence. And of course, here's a presidential unit citation and another one. And this is the Korean. Is that what we said? Yeah.
There's 2 Koreans there.
Yeah, I don't know why. Different. Anyhow, they're different, made different.
Right.
And of course, here's the USS Marshall DD 676. If you're going to sea, this is the kind of a ship to be on. You know, you get acquainted with everyone, and the officers treat you great. They did me anyhow, and of course I was a good signalman, you know, and they admired me for it. And I'm not bragging, I was a good signalman. And you have to be. You have to be perfect. You know, you can't miss any words, you know.
No.
And you can't run the wrong flag up on this flag hoist right here. That's our call letters there. See, and something.
Huh.
I've almost forgot the flags.
Wow.
But
I've seen the flags and then really had no idea what they meant. So there was a
Yeah.
flag for every letter?
yes,
Okay, and a flag for numbers 0 through
And-
9?
even though you get so used to seeing some of these flag hoists, you knew exactly what they were. But we had a book. You had to look them up every time. That way you didn't make any mistakes.
Right.
You look it up, see what it was, and then here's what it was. You know, I'll change course at certain time or something like that. And so you had to be on the ball, you know. And I like that, you know. It made the time go fast.
So tell me about your family. You told me about that.
Okay, I have 2 children. Carol's my daughter. She lives in Daleville. And Lee is my son. He lives in Denver, Colorado. He worked for the UPS company for about 29 years. But he got a beautiful home in Denver. In fact, he's got 3 stairways to the basement.
Wow.
I was down in the basement one day, just snooping, you know. Yeah, I thought, where the heck am I at? You know, I come to a stairway. They come up into the laundry room. I couldn't believe that. There, my daughter-in-law standing there doing some laundry. Said, "Hi, Art." I said, "I got the wrong stairs." She said, "Well, you're not the only one." I said, "I did too when I first moved here." You know.
Do you guys have any more questions?
Your grandchildren's name.
Oh, my oldest is a grandson in Denver. He's 22 years old. He started school and then he quit. Now he's going to start back in again. He's got a pretty good job working part-time, so he's going to go back to school in Denver. And he bought him a house right away. He had a little money, so he bought a house, moved out from Dad and Mom. So my son said, boy, he said, that thrilled me, you know, that he's doing something. So then my oldest granddaughter,
What's his name?
Nicholas. And then I have my oldest granddaughter named Laura, and she lives in the town east of Chesterfield.
Daleville.
Huh?
Daleville?
No, I mean east of Daleville.
Yorktown?
Huh?
Yorktown?
Yorktown. She lives in Yorktown. And she got a job before she finished college. She graduated from Ball State, working for Marsh. You know, the office was in Daleville at that time. And no, Yorktown. It was in Yorktown. And so she got a job. Well, I don't know how she got this job, but she's a secretary to a big bank over in Muncie. Pays good money. And of course, she goes on trips for the bank. She travels all over for them. And of course, comes back. She said she always has a pile of work to do when she comes back, but I kind of doubt that. But she got an excellent job. Then her husband's a tool and die maker, so they're making it real well. Then my other granddaughter is named Lisa, and she lives in Daleville. These kids can't get away from Dad and Mom. I tell you, they can't, you know. Oh,
Well, it works out in the long term.
yeah, and her husband is an investigator for the prison down in Pendleton, and she's a office manager for that tool and die maker there on. You see it as you go into
Yorktown?
Yorktown, yeah.
Yorktown Tool?
Huh?
I think, isn't it Yorktown Tool?
That's right, Yorktown Tool and Die. She works there. She's the office manager. Of course, then I got 3 great grandchildren too.
Do you really?
Why
Yeah.
don't you put their names out here, and then at least they'll be
We'll
on
be
the
in this
DVD.
group.
Yeah, okay, all right. See, the oldest one's Jessica. She's Lisa's daughter, and beautiful girl. Then I have that was in one family. Now the other family, I got a great grandson and a great granddaughter, and the granddaughter's great granddaughter's name was Emily. She's the one that she has a sight problem, and she's blind in one eye and vision restricted in the other. But oh my, this little girl, we babysat her for about 2 years. And I made up my mind I was going to teach her something. She could see a lot better than what anybody thought she could. I taught her the ABCs. I taught her simple arithmetic when she was 3 years old. Yeah, I had her saying the Pledge of Allegiance at 3 years of age. Just enunciated the words just right, you know. And I even made some flashcards, put big letters on them, you know, and just taught her the alphabet. So she was in preschool. They were evaluating her to see if she could continue into the mainstream of school. So this evaluator put up here, she put a circle, an apple, a square, and a building. And said, Emily, can you see these? Yes. Can you tell me what they are? She said, yes. There's a circle, an apple, a square, and a pentagon. That woman liked to drop everything she had. Oh my! Because I taught her all those shapes, you know, and I thought, oh my, 5-sided building, you know, it just amazed me, and she still does the things she knows. You know? And she got a terrific memory. She just remembers everything that goes on. Of course, her and my wife are just like that, you know. Of course, we babysit with her for a long time. And I remember the first day she stood up, she had a toy in her hand. She was on the floor and she got up and she come right up on her feet. Looked at that thing, looked down, she got back down on the floor. Yeah, it didn't register that she was up. Yeah, sweet little girl. And of course, then the great-grandson is Blake. And he's a dandy. I tell you what, he's honoring. Oh, just so honoring, you know. Teases his sister all the time. But quite a family, both of them, and they turned out real nice.
Now, what was your daughter's name now, so that we can relate to
Oh,
children?
Carol. Carol's her name.
Carol
last name?
Hodson.
Hodson.
Carol Hodson. And her husband's name was Harold, but he's got a nickname Butch, so we call him Butch. And he you know what? The story here. Back then, when they got married, his long hair was style. I don't know, I guess I'm an old fogey. I just couldn't stand that long hair, you know. And I don't know, I didn't think too much of him, you know. But now that we both mellowed, now, you know, and gee, I just think he's a great guy, you know.
That's good.
Another story about my son. He was going to Ball State. Of course, he let his hair grow clear down his shoulders, you know. And he was home one weekend, and he said, boy, it's getting close to Thanksgiving. He said, I can't hardly wait for Thanksgiving to get that good food Mom cooks. Well, wait a minute, Lee. I said, it's going to take a ticket this year. He said, a ticket? Yep. He said, what's the ticket? I said, a haircut. You mean that I got to cut my hair to eat? Absolutely. I said, I won't let you in the house. You know, you can't eat here. Of course, I don't know what had happened if
Mom would have changed that story.
yeah, but anyhow,
Now he finds out.
he took a friend of his to Chicago the day before Thanksgiving. Had a little Volkswagen, took him up there and come back. Come to the front door, there he was. Had a nice haircut, shaved around the ears. But you know what I almost know what he said when he went back to school. My old man insisted that I get a haircut. You know, said he wasn't going to feed me anymore if I didn't get a haircut. So that was a good excuse for him, wasn't it? You know?
Well, usually.
And now he's letting it grow a little bit, but you know, I don't blame him. You know, going to work every day with a white shirt and tie and a suit of clothes on. Gee, I had all I wanted at Remy, you know.
Yeah. Well, we're probably going to get run out of here pretty soon, so let's, do you have any words for posterity?
Words for posterity. Just keep up the good work, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Art, it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming out.
Oh, I could talk forever, you know.
Hey, I've enjoyed the friendship we've developed.
Yes, we have, you know. And I've given you my 20 cents, haven't I?
You did. This man has paid his 20 cents. He doesn't owe us anymore.
That's all. Hey, you know what? I'm saving silver.
Yeah.
I want to buy a new antenna for my radio. I've only got 3, and I need another one. But
Another lightning rod, huh?
costs
What's the
costs
light? What's the light?
oh, cost over $300 for that end too.
Wow.
Stories of Indiana's veterans for generations to come. That's right after the break. Our military veterans die. Will we remember their stories? 4 Madison County men don't want to leave it to chance.
They've started a mission to get veterans' stories recorded before it's too late. North Bureau reporter Vicki Duncan has the story from Madison County.
Tape 2, NVHA 010018.
The camera is rolling, and Art Franks is ready to answer some questions.
A very good ship.
The interview of this World War II and Korean War veteran is not for broadcast now, but for tomorrow.
Future generations, that's what it's for. You know, of course, it's for now and forever.
Mr. Franks is interview number 18 for the newly formed National Veterans Historical Archive.
The NVHA has as its goal to collect, to catalog, to preserve, and to make available the oral histories of the veterans of the wars and deployments of the 20th century.
That's a big job for these 4 Madison County men that make up the organization.
The 4 of us have a love of history. Not events and dates, but history. His story, her story. Everybody has a story.
Often the stories they hear are about life in war times that you don't read about in books.
You know what? I never learned to swim.
Some people, you can listen to them for hours on end and just hang on every word. Other people may only have 5 minutes of information that really grabs you. But when you find that, it's like finding gold.
The organization has no funding and uses borrowed equipment, but has high hopes.
Our eventual goal is to have a national archive to fan out across the country and collect these interviews and then bring them back to an archive, hopefully here in Anderson.
But the immediate focus, as many veterans age, is to get these tales, these treasures on tape.
It's a way to say thanks. Did it affect you? I mean,
Yes.
In Anderson, Vicki Duncan, RTV6.
And the organization is taking names from veterans to interview. You can reach them at NVHA, that's 618 Phillips Drive, Anderson, Indiana, and that zip code is 46012.
Treasures.